Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today, folks. We are going to get in it. Welcome aboard, Isaac Barrientos. ¿Cómo estás, mi amigo? Y Dimitri OG. Hola, hermano. ¿Cómo estás? Folks, things are getting serious. But you know what? We are ready. We are absolutely ready. I'm here contemplating, do I get right into the show or do I bring up that article that I just read at Common Dreams that I think everybody needs to understand where it comes to healthcare and all of that? So you know what I decided? I'm going to get started with the show. And after we get started with the show and start giving you some of those videos, then we'll go into those particular issues. Anyway, if you're just joining us, I have one big ask before we even get started. And that is please go ahead and share this on your wall. Share this on your Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. It is essential if we are going to get our message out. Independent media is important because right now, as it turns out, what they're doing is corporate media is trying to keep those things between the rails. I know right now everybody's anti-Donald Trump because they talk about Donald Trump as if he's all the way to the right. And then when the left comes for the policies that they really want, what happens? Everybody tries to bring it back to the center. And that is sort of what we're having with the mainstream media, of course. And that is bringing everything to run between the left rail and the right rail. But anyhow, folks, please go ahead. If you're just joining us, I ask you so kindly, share and what again? Share. That way we can get our message out. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the program today. The title of the show today is We Cannot Allow Trump to deflect what matters for election 2020. What matters? What is it that matters? Anyhow, Donald Trump has been playing the media even before he entered the 2016 presidential race. Unfortunately, that has continued. Is something we must not allow any longer. We cannot allow this to metastasize. We cannot allow to keep this going on. Nancy Pelosi stopped Andrea Mitchell cold on her Trump-directed questioning today, and it was a thing of beauty, and she did it with such style. That's one thing. I have issues with Nancy being a little bit too much in the center, but she has her responsibilities to corral the left, the right, the middle, all that kind of stuff. But important enough, I think she did a wonderful job in the way she handled Andrea Mitchell today, which was very, very, again, she did it with a whole lot of class. Nancy Pelosi has been clear and intentional of not allowing the terms of her interviews to be dictated indirectly by Trump. You see, right now, the first thing people ask whenever you get onto a show, everything is done through a prism of Trump. Trump becomes the prism. You shine your light through that, and then it's all it's all refracted out of that. And that is, we can't allow that to happen, because what that means is we continue to fight on Trump's terms instead of fighting on the terms of the American people. We can't allow that to happen. Anyhow, he likes to throw out a shocker every few days to consume the news cycle. Unfortunately, too often the mainstream media usually take the bait. We have few other Trump statements to refute before, and then we move on. So folks, please note also, let me put that phone number on. If you'd like to call into the show as well, you can give us a call at 346-248 7799. Again, that number is, para ver, 346-248-7799. The ID, the Zoom ID, is 254-600-9091. Let me just let you guys know that I'm working on I'm going to set up Zoom when I do some testing so that just like you can see me and whatever I broadcast on the, whether it's be websites, etc. Eventually, I'm going to fix it so that if you call in from your computer and a camera, you will be my guest automatically from wherever you are via Zoom. I just need to get a few things tested before I go live on that. But that is the next expectation. We need to make sure that the power of our system here can handle these different frames on the computer, etc., etc., etc. Anyhow, the first video I want to show you guys is, Donald Trump came out recently, and he's been saying it for the long time. Earlier in the campaign, he told black folk, "Hey, what the hell?" What was the phrase that he used? I think he said, "What the hell do you have to lose?" or something like that, right? And he constantly says now, "I have done more for them than any other president except for maybe Abraham Lincoln." Oh, really? So, I think Eddie Glaude would have something to say about that. And Eddie Glaude did have something to say about that. So let's go ahead and listen to what Eddie Glaude thought about that. I've often said that we've allowed Donald Trump to dictate the message of the day constantly, right? Eddie Glaude did something that I think needed to be done. And, what I want us to start doing is take care. Whenever he gives a silly message, we should answer that message and then move on. We have a tendency to answer the message and stick with it over and over and over again so that the rest of the messaging that needs to be out there, what's happening to the American people, is left alone. Well, Donald Trump, let's go ahead and play this and then we'll take it on the other side.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln, whether you like it or not. People say, "Oh, that's
you really you believe you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil Rights Act?"
I think I did, yeah.
How?
Because I got criminal justice reform done. I got prison reform.
Lyndon Johnson.
I've done things.
He passed the Civil Rights Act.
How has it worked out? If you take a look at what Lyndon Johnson did.
You think the Civil Rights Act was a mistake?
How has it worked out? Because frankly, it took a long time. But for African Americans, under my administration, Jonathan, under my administration, African Americans were doing better than they had ever done in the history of this country.
Eddie, that he has said before that he has done more for black Americans than any other president. He has said it multiple times. He would not answer Jonathan Swan's very easy question. Was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 a mistake?
One of the things that I have a hard time doing, Chris, is taking seriously Donald Trump around these sorts of issues. I mean, we need to understand him for who he is. I mean, we can call him a narcissist, we can call him an egotist, we can call him a vulgarian. But the main thing is that when we hear him talk like this, we need to understand it for the paternalistic language that it is. I've done more for African Americans. We don't need him to do something for us. Right? We need him to be the president of the United States, to understand us as a constituency, to uphold the principles and norms of democracy. He sounds like a plantation owner, and that we should be grateful to him, that we should show gratitude to him. What does he mean? And so, on the face of it, the claim that he's done more than Lyndon Baines Johnson, I mean, on the face of it is patently false. But just simply having to answer the question is insulting, as if we're some ward of the state that state actors must do something for, as opposed to us being citizens of this republic, claiming, right, our just due as citizens of the republic. I find it insulting, and it's just another example of how debased his character is.
How debased this character is. Of course it's how debased this character is. Completely debased. And you know what? I kind of cut that video a little bit short, accidentally, of course. But anyhow, Eddie Glaude did an important thing right there. I mean, there are too many people. And you know, I used to say this for a very long time. And that is when you didn't really have I want to put this in the right context for all the folks that are listening. Welcome, Doug Perdue. Welcome, Bruce. Welcome, Norman Reynolds, Bruce Pilar, Doug Perdue, Dimitri Og, Isaac Barrientos. Welcome aboard. I One of the reasons I had issue when I was learning a lot about, let's say, Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X, is that, I believe in peace. I'm a peaceful person. I'm a pacifist. But I'm also from Central America, and I also know how power works. And what Eddie Glaude was talking about when he says these people, that the president was actually talking as if, oh, we need to be thankful for you saying I've done for you, as if, yeah, that patriarchal way that some talk to women and people of color, that patriarchal manner. And the reason that works is many times we have allowed ourselves, and I include Brother Martin Luther King in that. Martin Luther King did it Martin Luther King's way. But when you are asking for your freedom, as opposed to taking your freedom, those who purport or believe to have given you your freedom have a tendency to believe that it is their right to take it away, shape it, or change it. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin from Away. And that is a very important thing that I want people to understand. Whether you are a woman, a person of color, a gay person, whatever, if your fight for your freedom, you asked for it and waited for them to be ready to give it to you, then those who gave it to you would have a tendency to believe that they can take it away. And I've always said that it has to be known that you will never, ever allow somebody else to have authority over your freedom, ever. And when that is instilled into the oppressor's mind, they'll think twice before taking it away. I want to give a classic example that is occurring today, right now. If you understand that you hear all these big companies talking about Black Lives Matter now. Oh, you go to the website of every major corporation now. We support Black Lives Matter. Remember, Black Lives Matter was treated like a terrorist organization. You take a look at how quickly these statues are coming down. Even in red states, they're coming down quickly. And let me tell you what happened there. Black Lives Matter actually garnered the support of not only those who felt oppressed, but those who didn't want to live through the eyes of the oppressor. And they didn't see themselves the goodness in how humanity at large felt. They said, that is not me. Having my foot on the neck of somebody, I can really see it now. I can see what's occurring now, and that's not me. And the masters who have used all these isms to control all of us, not just black folks and people of color, but white folks too. The only way that small minority to the top, the 1%, can control us all is if they have us fighting among each other, thinking all kinds of things about each other that's not true. But when we open our own eyes and we see it, and we see that, no, we are the brothers and sisters, not them. When the masters started to see the coalescing of peoples, they said, we better get ahead of the game. And that is what's occurring in America today. That is why you have the precipitous drop of Donald Trump, because even those who were just tolerating Donald Trump for financial gain, they started to see the light as well. So Mike Cisak can say BLM is run by Marxist terrorists if he want to. He's a has-been. My brother Mike Cisak, my friend Mike Cisak, he's the old guard. He's gone. He either gets on the train or gets left behind. And he's fighting. He's fighting not to get on that train. But all those who are not getting on the train of where America is going, it is either going to be done nicely or it's going to be done with a lot of pain. And the people who are going to decide that are the oppressors, or those that are the slaves of the oppressors. That is who's going to decide that. And right now, what I am seeing in America, what I am seeing throughout the entire American system, is that the corporations see it, The masters have seen it, even if Mike Cizek hasn't seen it. The masters have. And they are starting to adjust because they don't want to lose it all. So they are starting to adjust. Anyhow, the next tape is Stuart, just to show Cizek and a few other conservatives what real conservatives understand about what's going on. Let's take a little thing right here and take a look at it. Republican operative Mitt Romney's strategist. Check out what he had to say. We'll take it on the other side.
It's still just unbelievable. This man is president of the United States. He's a guy that really you wouldn't want to sit next to in a long plane flight. Just across the board, he's an idiot. This is why people are always trying to give Trump this idea that, well, you know, he's doing this and it's fourth dimensional chess or fifth dimensional chess or 10th dimensional chess. Because otherwise you just have to come to grips with the fact he's a blithering idiot. But he's a blithering idiot. He can't even carry on a conversation about current events, of which, God forbid, he is at the center of those events. I don't really see how, as an American, forget Republican, Democrat, whatever, how if you really care about America, you can honestly say the country is in good hands with this person as president of the United States. It's inconceivable to me.
And believe it or not, that last statement is not the blithering idiot that got to me. It's the last statement. How can you see this guy in operation? How can you see his lack of intellect? How can you see how dumb he is and still believe that we can move forward? How can you see him kill 157,000 American citizens? How can you see him do all these things? How much more damage could he do in 4 years? This next election should be a landslide. After we've listened to him, after we've seen him on the big stage, after we've seen him everywhere, if you can't understand that this guy is an empty suit, a corrupt suit, an immoral suit, what will it take? And not only that, it would be nice if this one time then we could have two countries. Okay, I hope you got that. Anyhow, folks, let me go ahead and bring a caller in. Caller on 828, come on in.
Hi, Egberto. How are you? This is Hope in North Carolina.
Hope, how are you doing, Hope? How did that thing go down a couple days ago?
It went all right. We were presenting to the commissioners in Rutherford County, North Carolina, and they were very nice about it, and they were receptive, and we're going back in for an agenda item and organizing, and our group is growing in number. And I was watching your program, and I just want to give you a report from the field and just a super brief statement about why I think that monuments are important. And it kind of goes along with your theme.
Go for it. The show is all yours, Hope.
I kind of see taking the monuments down as a first step in pulling the linchpin out of white supremacy. And I really think that white supremacy is an economic development problem. It has deep-seated cultural issues, and it's very important to recognize that monuments were put up by people in the early 1900s who wanted to create second classes out of black citizens.
Right.
And, the fact that they're around, they're the supporters, like the people who want to leave these Confederate monuments up in the rural areas will walk in and say, well, that's just an inanimate piece of stone. Don't get stuck on it. And my response to that is, hey, you know what? A gun is an inanimate object until you fire it. And
that's a good one.
But it's true. Maybe that's a little bit of a dramatic analogy, but the monument, the problem that I have with the monument here in Rutherford County, North Carolina, is that it sits right in front of the courthouse.
Amazing.
And the great thing about these discussions is that I've gotten to know so many incredible people of color, and they are brilliant people, but they have enough of racism in these rural areas, and they move out of town, and we lose the resources of these brilliant, wonderful people, and it just makes me really sad, And it's a tough time right now.
But you know what? Like I was mentioning, Hope, the times are changing, and this one feels more real than ever before. And I've been in this country now for over 30 years. This one seemed more real, especially how quickly the corporations and others jumped on board. And I saw. I mean, I think the most important thing that started to occur is what I call the allyification. We started to build so many congruent allies working together, and that is the scariest thing. I mean, when I used to use that, when I still use that term, when we unite the barrios Appalachia and the ghettos, it's sort of it's a stereotypical term, but that is actually happening right now.
I hope so. And, I don't know what we're going to get in November, but for goodness sakes, don't you move away, okay?
No, we aren't. Trust me, we won't. We are going to get this thing done. Hope, I want to thank you for what you are doing, because you are a representation of what we want to see in America. I don't know if you read the article. There's an article called "You Want a Confederate Monument? My Body is a Confederate Monument" by Carolyn Randall Williams. Everybody needs to read that article, because
I'm familiar with it.
There you go. So look, thank you so kindly for calling in, Hope, and you keep up doing what you're doing. Very proud of you out there.
Okay, you take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks, I have another video to show you, but this is an article that, since Hope brought that up, talking about the Confederate monuments, this article here, it's in, let's see, I think that's the New York Times. It's at the New York Times. It was on the 26th of June. The title of the article is "You Want a Confederate Monument? My Body is a Confederate Monument." And it is, I won't even tell you too much about it. I think you just need to go read that article. Anybody like Mike Cisak and others, if that article does not touch you and does not allow you to understand exactly what's going on in America, both with the Confederacy and otherwise, I hate to say, we have a hell of a lot more work to do with you. But we'll never abandon you. I am that patient person to the end that many people tell me I'm crazy, but I'll remain crazy that way, because I have faith in humanity in general. I have faith in humanity in general. Look it up. Look up the title, Rudman. Just put that. Just do the search in Google, because that's how I just found it. I just went and put "Monument, My Body, Confederacy," and then that article will come up on the New York Times. Okay, folks. Notice the title of the title of the program today was about "We have to not allow Trump to dictate the narrative of the day." And what generally happens is we find that the media pretty much allows Trump to do that. So the question is, all these politicians are getting interviewed, and somehow they allow the media to, because they're so impressed with Donald Trump, or for every little thing that he throws out every 2 days they want to bring up. How do you mitigate that? Well, who comes to the rescue but my good friend Nancy Pelosi? She's not as left as I would like her to be, but I love the way she handled this one. You guys take a look at it, and we'll take a look at it at the other side. I have a beauty for you. We've been talking for a very long time about the media being distracted. If Donald Trump wants to change the subject of the day, he just says something silly, and the subject of the day is changed. All the media jump onto it, and we don't get to cover a whole lot of things, the police actions. We don't get to cover the real state of the middle class. We don't get to cover, right now, Americans are in dire straits, and it's not on TV. Instead, Donald Trump's shenanigans are. But anyhow, Nancy Pelosi took care of that with Andrea Mitchell today. That was beautiful in the way she did it. It's a little bit longer than normal, but I want you to listen to this and check out how Nancy Pelosi did it perfectly.
I also want to ask you about our reporting that the Republicans are also planning not to have the president leave Washington for his acceptance speech. But most interestingly, he has floated the idea today of doing it on the south lawn of the White House. Our reporting is also that he has suggested monuments as a backdrop, like the Lincoln Memorial. Is that appropriate? I'm not sure if there's a law against it, but there certainly is a tradition. You don't use the White House as the backdrop for any politics. He has broken that with the Rose Garden and other events before, but the acceptance for the Republican nomination coming with the White House as the backdrop, does that strike you as wrong?
Yeah, it's very wrong. Again, when we're in the Capitol of the United States under the dome, we have a very limited opportunity to reference anything political. And for the President of the United States to degrade, once again, the White House, as he has done over and over again, by saying he's going to completely politicize it, is something that should be rejected right out of hand. It's, again, notion-mongering, not serious thinking, and well, it won't happen. Let's put it that way. Whether it's legally wrong or ethically out of the question, it shouldn't even been something that was expressed.
Can you stop him?
You can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, you would be very surprised, I think, at the fact that when you're at the White House, you're talking about policy and the rest. You're not talking politics.
Well, I know that you and other members, senators, you leave the building to do any fundraising. You have your own offices off-site. But that said, if he's exempt from the Hatch Act, which is why some of his aides have been criticized, cited for unethical activity, but you don't think he can get away with it?
Andrea, my friend, once again, he is diverting attention from the fact that people are dying in our country. Children are hungry. Families are fearing eviction. Workers are concerned about getting money into their pockets. The state and local governments are suffering from the virus and the rest, and we're talking about whether he can have a political event at the White House. He can't. But again, it's interesting, it's curious, it's a diversion, and that he is a master of diversion. But what we all really need to be talking about is the fact that we passed our bill, the HEROES Act, nearly 3 months ago. In that time, over 3 million people have been added to the list of those infected. 70,000 people have died, and we're talking about the president having political events at the White House. He can't. So let's talk about what we can do.
Let me ask you about that, because I want to ask you about the state of play of these talks, clearly. Mitch McConnell, the latest that we're hearing, is that he's willing to bring something to the floor, indicating that he doesn't have his caucus. Can you reach an agreement this week even on unemployment, on the key factors, on eviction, moratorium? What can you do, and how do you believe the talks are progressing?
Well, I do believe that we have to reach an agreement. What the timetable is really relates to the progress we make. How big will the bill be, for how long, and how long will it last? Those are the questions. But we have some very specifics because, as you know, in legislation, the devil is in the details. We think the angel should be there as well, and that's what we're having an understanding of what it actually means when you say this. We still are a distance apart in terms of state and local, which we think is essential, that we honor our heroes, that's why it's called that, by supporting the work that state and local government does to fight this virus, to provide services to people in the meantime. If we don't do that, we will be abandoning them with the costs that they haven't incurred for fighting the virus, and secondly, they'll be firing many people, and that goes on into the unemployment ranks, which doesn't save money. Basically, just to enlarge the issue, if we don't do something significant, we will not only be delinquent in our duties to fight this virus, which is the way to open our economy and open our schools safely for our children and grandchildren, but we will also be increasing damage to our economy. And that's what economists, the chairman of the Fed, everybody recognizes that. This is big. It's a pandemic which has caused an economic downturn. We have to address the pandemic to reverse that, and we have to do it in a significant way. And that's the discussion that we're having. I'm confident that we will have an agreement. The timing of it, I can't say.
And that's what I'm talking about. If you take a look at that, what Nancy said she's going to do is change the discussion and focus where we need to be focused. Look, folks, you're watching me here. If you're watching me on your computer, you have the wherewithal to have a computer with internet access, etc. If you are listening to me on your speakerphone or on your phone or wherever, you have that wherewithal to do that. But I tell you who does not, my dear brothers and sisters. Think about the 40 million Americans living all over this country that are now in dire straits. They're not on TV every night. I am wondering why not. We see the lines in San Antonio in front of the Alamo Center. Huge lines several times a week. People going for food. Why aren't all these reporters walking around even with their masks on and staying in the car with a zoom camera and going in front of the food banks all around the cities, all around the rural areas? Remember what I said, the crash won't be televised. The depression won't be televised. We are going to have to be the ones putting it into the psyche of people. But if we're concentrating on the latest thing that the latest shenanigans Trump is talking about, he wants you talking about that so that there isn't empty space left in media to talk about the other things. I have some videos coming in from Bobby Rodrigo from, I think, in Oregon. I think it's going to be at a place where they're doing the test for coronavirus as well as food, where they're distributing food, etc. We have to be able to tell our folk how bad things are for quite a few of our brothers and sisters. Because the truth of the matter is, if the media is concentrating on intentionally on what Donald Trump is putting out there on a daily basis, simply to take up their time so that they're not covering the next thing, then what do you think is going to happen? Anyhow, we don't get subjects like this at Common Dreams. Taking taxpayers for a ride. Moderna to charge $32 to $37 per dose for COVID-19 vaccine developed by whom? By you. So you're going to pay twice. Your tax dollars paid for this vaccine, and this private company who developed this vaccine based on engineers and scientists and biologists and infectionologists and all these folks that were trained by public universities, paid for by student loans, being paid back by you. And who makes the money? The people who invest in the pharmaceutical companies, the people who are the executives getting breaks from the pharmaceutical companies. Hear this. Consumer advocates warned Wednesday that pharmaceutical giant Moderna is taking taxpayers for a ride after the company announced plans to charge between $32 and $37 per dose for a potential COVID-19 vaccine developed entirely, not partially, completamente, entirely from the U.S. federal government. Taxpayers are paying for 100% of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine development. All of it. Peter Maybark, Director of Access to Medicine Program at Public Citizen, said in a statement. Public Citizen is a great government watchdog that we've worked with before, both in Move to Amend and Coffee Party USA. Yet taxpayers may wind up paying tens of billions more to Moderna to buy our vaccine back if it proves safe and effective. The so-called Moderna vaccine belongs in significant part to the people of the United States, said May Barduck. We paid for it. Federal scientists led the way. It ought to be the people's vaccine, not a new taxpayer burden. That is what we call socialism. We have a lot of right-wingers and other folks love to talk about, oh, the left wants socialism. No, the left wants true democratic socialism, democratic access to social services. We believe in free enterprise. We believe in free enterprise. This isn't free enterprise. This is corporate socialism. We, the people, pay for The development, we pay to educate the scientists, we pay to develop the drug, we pay to test the drug, and then all the resources, the monies that comes from the drug goes to the investors in that company. That is corporate socialism. Hey, Mike Cisak, do you see that, my brother? Don't you agree with that? Who paid for it again? You did. So you don't mind paying for it twice? When you get a vaccine and pay $37, you know that's an extra amount of money you're paying for it now. The so-called Moderna vaccine belongs in significant part to the people of the United States. We paid for it. Federal scientists led the way. It ought to be people's vaccine, not new. The experimental vaccine is currently undergoing a phase 3 clinical trial that is expected to enroll around 30,000 adult volunteers who do not have COVID-19, according to the National Institute of Health. Trial results are expected as early as October. All right? Moderna was paid by federal dollars. We paid for it, and we gave them $1 billion up front. Come on, people. Let's get clear here. Under pressure from advocacy groups, the public disclosed how its potential vaccine is being financed. Moderna told Axios Wednesday that U.S. taxpayers are providing 100% funding of the program. So you can say whatever you want, Mike. Even the company admits that. Moderna told Axios Wednesday that the U.S. taxpayers are providing 100% of funding of the program. So here you are, trying to defend a corporation who admitted to Axios that we the people paid for it. Come back, Mr. Cisak. Tell me. The company already said that it is being funded 100% by the government. What say you? The company received $483 million from Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority in April to support its vaccine development. CNBC reported last month it announced it received an additional $472 million from the federal government. Dean Baker, senior economist, and you've seen Dean Baker on my show before. I interviewed him 2 different times. Dean Baker, senior economist at the Center for Economic and Policy Research, wrote in a blog post Wednesday that this funding paid for the research and testing, and it has also meant that the government took all the risk. I repeat, the government took all the risk and Moderna takes the rewards. That is socialism, not social programs for assisting Americans be self-sufficient and creating corporations. That's not socialism. This is socialism, as The Economist said. If Moderna's vaccine turns out to be ineffective, wrote Baker, the government will be out the money, not Moderna. Despite the fact that Moderna's price tag for its coronavirus is the highest yet announced by any corporation involved with Operation Warp Speed, Moderna CEO Stéphane Bancel on Wednesday characterized the cost as a discount during a conference call announcing the company's massive second quarter revenue increase. What? You see how this is what the Powell Manifesto taught these people. It taught them how to just say things. And Trump does it on explosive, on steroids. Trump says things and he just wants you to accept it as true, however a lying statement it is. You see? You have to understand. And Mike Cisak, if you're still buying the crap, it proves that they have folks like yourself who refuse to accept reality even when it stares them in the face. But public citizen, note the absurdity of charging the public anything at all for a vaccine developed entirely. That was my next subject, Dimitri. That's my next subject. It's not only Cory Bush, but it's coming up. I'll bring it up in a minute. They want us to buy back a vaccine developed with our tax dollars. Brothers and sisters, this is the battle that we fight. We pay twice. They make it believe that we are asking for something for nothing. It's never the truth. They are the ones that are always asking for something for nothing. Our corporate state are the leechers. Our corporate state is the parasite. The parasites are the corporations and its shareholders. Those are the parasites living off of your work. The problem is the mainstream media is doing so much to distract you from that reality that so few times you are able to see that on your own. And what we do here at Politics Done Right is to tell that truth. And it is important that we continue to tell that truth. You are the ones doing the work. They are the parasites. Remember that. And they have a whole lot of sycophants telling them, okay, please kick us one more time. Kick us one more time. Because we know if we hate those lefties, we must love you. Kick us one more time. Okay, going back to what Dimitri OG brought up. As I told Dimitri OG, it was my next subject. I blogged about it in 2 blogs. And here we go. First of all, I'll start with the one that Corey brought up. Corey Bush, who is supported by the left, who is supported by not only Corey, you saw the blog post that I just put up as well. This feels good as young progressives slowly take over from those in the old guard, which refuses to make the necessary moves. St. Louis, Corey Bush, a progressive activist and leader of the swelling protest movement for racial justice, toppled Representative William Lacey Clay Jr. of Missouri. Let me tell you, the Clay family, they are bastions in the society out there in St. Louis, in Missouri. And they thought they could never be dethroned. Well, the left came in and they started to talk to people and they started to walk with people and they started to tell them this is what progressive values mean. This is what it means for our community. And this guy has been around for 20 years, 10 terms. He's been around for a very long time. And you know what happened? They finally said, you know what? Yes, he's been around and we are living in the same state that we're living because these folks, people think that just saying I'm a black person representing a black district means something. It doesn't mean anything. I tell you, our Latino district here, I don't remember the district name, it was run by Gene Green. The Latinos elected Gene Green, a white guy, every single year. You know why? Because he worked for that community. And they said, we reward you for the community. So all those people who believe in this politics that, oh, a district has to be represented by somebody who looked like them. Sometimes that doesn't really work out so well because they think they own the district. Well, that's what he thought. It so happened that Corey Bush came in and she dethroned him. A very good thing. Corey Bush came in and dethroned him. But another good one occurred as brother Dimitri OG pointed out. And I blogged about that this morning as well. I blogged about Corey late last night and about Rashida Tlaib this morning because Rashida's race was just called today. I don't know why it took them so long to call it because it was evident it was a landslide from the beginning. But they put up Rashida is a Palestinian descendant, okay? She's not black, she's Palestinian descent. But she represents a black district, a district that is predominantly black, more than 50% black. But she is a true progressive to the core. She wants all the things we want. She wants Medicare for all, Green New Deal that's going to employ people, all these good things that are going to bring prosperity to that district. She's fighting like hell for that. And then they think, oh, the plutocracy think, oh, we can do something about that. We'll just run somebody that looks like the district. But she's a centrist. She's one of ours. She's our slave. She's our corporatist. So they ran a black woman against Rashida Tlaib. Rashida didn't have anything to worry about. Rashida is a part of the squad. Ilhan Omar, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Alana Presley, and the fourth one is Rashida Tlaib. They said, oh, she is in danger however because she really doesn't look like her district. Hell, who cares if she looks like the district? I don't care who the hell represent the district as long as they're there to support that district, as long as they're there to bring what that district wants. And that's what Rashida Tlaib brought. And Rashida Tlaib ran in her district. I had her on a show a couple times ago. We were in a conference together. You can look it up at politicsandright.com. And Rashida came out. And Rashida walked her district. and Rashida talked to her people, and Rashida won the district in a landslide. Exactly what should have happened. Because no centrists deserve to run any of these districts, let alone the district like hers. And slowly, just like the guy in New York, I can't remember his name. Come on, Dimitri, what's the guy that dethroned another big wheel in New York? They're winning left. Bowman is the guy who beat who won in New York. Bowman won in New York. AOC held their position, and of course, Alanna Pressley held her position, and we continue to move forward. It's going to take a while. Not AOC, it was Bowman. AOC won hers, Dimitri. So anyhow, so what we're seeing here, it's a slow, what I tell my progressive brothers and sisters, you know, the center doesn't give up without a fight. The right doesn't give up without a fight. What we have to do is not allow them to sell us wrongly to the American people. We have to take charge. And once we take charge, we win. And how do we win? But to tell you what we have to do to win, we got to support our progressive media. We got to support what's bringing us there. Rashida Tlaib and all these people didn't necessarily have the mainstream media to help them out, but they still got their message out because they had indirectly hundreds. They didn't need the few mainstream media corporations telling their stories. They had us. They had the progressive media blogging about them. They had the progressive media talking about them. They had the independent progressive media doing those things. But I tell you something, folks, we do need your support. So what I'm going to ask you, give me about 2 minutes here. I want to ask you, if you're on YouTube and you have the wherewithal, give us a super chat. Click on that $sign and support us with a super chat to make sure that we can continue doing what we're doing. That is what we have to do. We have to support these avenues that are putting our message out there. We have to support that. If we support that, we can continue doing our job effectively. But please consider becoming a subscriber as well to Politics Done Right by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. You can also support us at PayPal by going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. That is politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support our store, or rather you can support us on Facebook, who's just started allowing us to take subscriptions there. Please go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. And of course, you can shop at our store to go by going to politicsdoneright.com/store. You can get our cups that says Politics Done Right. We have other cups that say I support progressive media or I support independent media. You can get cups that include AOC and all the squad. You can get T-shirts with the squad. You can get all of that. So please consider supporting us at those different locations. I would love to get more patrons at politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. We're just at about 125. We need to get to 1,000 to make us consistently viable. Please as well go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Okay, continuing. So folks, it's important to note that if we get the job done, if we have the wherewithal to tell the American people the message, if we are able to go out there and tell Americans we can solve your problems and this is what it takes. Thank you very much. Rudnin did get a T-shirt. Thank you for getting that T-shirt, Rudnin. I support independent. Hey, Rudnin, take a picture in your T-shirt and send it to me. Let me put it up on the screen as well, brother. Take a picture and anybody who buy any of our memorabilia and aren't too shy, if you take a picture and send it up to me, we'll play it right here on the screen and we'll put it up on the website, all that good stuff. I support independent media. So come on, Rudnin, don't be shy. Send that picture and we'll put you up as well. Hey, so it's important. Let me go ahead and start talking to you guys. First of all, I want to welcome Michael Rudnin, Mike Cisak, Dimitri OG, Bruce Pollard, para ver quién más, Curtis Jacobs, Let's see. Who else is here? I think I called a few already. Para ver. Mike Cisak, I called you already. Hope Bleeker. Hope called into the show earlier. You can call in as well, folks. Later on, I'm going to also put you on the screen when you call in, if you call in from your computer and camera. Para ver. ¿Quién más está aquí? Doug Perdue. Who else is here? Doug. So we have people from all the platforms today. We have people from Periscope. We have YouTube. We have also from Facebook Live as well as Twitch. So we did the full Monty today. Anyhow, Isaac Barrientos says, Joe Jorgensen for president. Ditch the old two parties who infringe on your rights. Hey, Isaac, let me tell you something. Not the year to do that. Not the year to do that, okay? If you want to talk about that, give me a call. Demetrio G, hola. Norman Reynolds, saludos. Norman is learning Spanish. Saludos, fellow survivors. Bruce Pollard said, I'm here at last. Bruce, what took you so long? You know you give us strength, Bruce. Let's see. Doug Perdue says, them politicians hate him because he did more in 4 years than they ever did. He makes them look silly. Who are we talking about again? Am I getting old? Oh, wait. Donald Trump makes that. Doug Perdue, you couldn't be talking about Donald Trump. Black Lives Matter. Okay, Daniel Ledo. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Make America Great Again? Well, did you say that, Mr. Ledo? Man, I tell you, I must be changing you, brother. All right, Michael Rudnin, watching from away. Thank you for being away and watching, Rudnin. Perdue says, I have friends of color who are ecstatic. They're working good jobs now. Of course, you'll always have people working good jobs. That's not the dispute, Doug Perdue. Doug, I want you to stick around and watch our shows and read our blogs and all of that, because I know where you're coming from and I know where your media comes from as well. Michael Rudnin says, power concedes nothing without a demand. That is the word of the day. The word of the day. You mimic some of what I said as far as we don't ask for our freedom. We demand it. If it's not given, we take it. Thank you. You're the word of the day, Michael. Mike Cisak says, BLM is run by Marxist terrorists. That's not true, and you know it. The Dem-ran cities are a war zone. My parents are living in Seattle to come back home. Not safe. You know what is so funny about that? That can't be a true statement, because most of Seattle, when you're driving around the city, you haven't a clue that there's stuff happening on 5 or 6 blocks downtown. And that's the same thing in Portland, and I brought that to you guys live. Bobby Rodrigo gave a report to show the only part of Portland that was actually seeing anything. And Mike Cisak thinks I am an authoritarian by admission. Wow. I think people would debate you on that one. Right-wing bubble disinformation repeated until believable has gotten to Cisak and others like him. That is true. Mike Cisak will learn eventually, because you know why he's going to learn? Because he's here with us. He's a family member of Politics Done Right. Mike Cisak, Daniel Ledo, Lee Grant, all our conservatives, our new conservatives that are coming in as well, they're part of our family. My sister is a right-winger. She's my family and I love her to death. I will always try to lead her the way. I'm not asking her to become a lefty, but if I see my sister doing something that I think is going to get her off keel, I call her up directly and I say, hey, love you very much, sis. Don't do this. And I ask her, this is how I work with my sister many times. I would tell my sister, look, that's my older sister. My little sister is a left-winger like me. My older sister, I'll look at her and I say, look, I know you don't believe this. You don't want to believe me. That's fine. I am your brother. You know that I love you. Please, just do it for me, okay? Please, just do this one thing for me. And that is how we resolve it. I am not trying to change her mode right away or whatever. That takes time. But when I need her to do something that's not going to get her hurt, I ask her to do it because she loves her brother. And that she does. She loves her brother. And I love her, even though she's a righty, Trump-loving, crazy sister of mine. Anyhow, I don't know how. Like I said, Trump mystique is an interesting thing. Let's continue. Let's see what else. I'm going to have to skip a lot of messages because we're coming close to the end, brothers and sisters. Hope says, Nancy Pelosi is in a terrible state of grief over Congressman Lewis. Very big loss. Yeah, those two were very close. Michael Cisak says, well, I can't read that right now. Let's see. I'm only going to read the short ones now. Cooking oxtail smelled delish. I turned into... Oh, gee, why are you going to do that to me? I love oxtails. And you're going to do that to me? And I'm now a vegan? Come on, brother. Why are you going to hurt me like that? Okay, let's see. Mike Cisak says, we tried the big thing with FDR and we stayed in Great Depression because of it. False. It actually worked, and let me tell you, even World War II partially was responsible for getting us out of the Great Depression. But just as well, if we had continued building like hell, building dams and building canals and all of that, by definition of economic activity, if the war took us out of a depression, instead of building airplanes and bombs, if we built out other infrastructure within our country, there's absolutely no difference. So, I mean, a lot of people would say it's not what Roosevelt did that got us out of the depression. It was the war. And I would tell him, you're right. The war did get us out of the depression because we built stuff. So instead of building bombs that killed people, we could have built a whole lot of other stuff in America. We could have built windmills. We could have built canals. We could have built aqueducts. We could have done a lot of same things. It would have been the same. It's just that one of them killed people and one didn't necessarily have to kill people. Michael Cisak, you always use things and make my point. Always. Always. But you know what? I hope that eventually brings you into the fold. All right, para ver. Progressives are causing problems, is what Mike Cisak says. Really? What problems are those? Dimitri OJ said, did you check out Seattle for Biden yet? It's hilarious, but it's better than Trump. Go and check it out, brother. You should. When you give these ideas, throw some links in, man. By the way, I read Red State. I read RedState.com for fun because they are usually so bad. Oswald Mosley, it is absolutely you do it. Welcome aboard, Oswald Mosley. I don't think I welcomed you yet. BLM is run by Marsley. Osley, you've been reading Mike C. I'm getting all these great conservatives. Y'all stick around, though. Don't leave. I want you to make sure and stick around. It's coming close to the time that I got to end the show. Mike says, Egberto, glad to hear at least one of your siblings has a brain. I use it. I love you, CSAC. Daniel Ledo, Mike will learn when progressives win and he's sent to a re-education camp. I don't think I'm going to do that to you. Ashley Mosley, welcome aboard, Ashley. By the way, Ashley is a wonderful person, Mosley. I did an interview with Ashley a few months ago, I guess, at a coffee shop. I am so impressed with what our young millennials are doing, how they are being part of the solution. Ashley Mosley, welcome to Politics Done Right Live, and thank you for what you are doing in your community, because you are the instantiation of everything that we talk about, my dear. Muchas gracias, mujer. Y ella sabe cómo hablar. Ella es una americana que sabe hablar español muy bien. So maybe you should talk to Norman Reynolds, who is learning some Spanish too, Ashley. Anyhow, we got to get out of this today. So folks, please remember to support our program by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. I need to bring this up again because I need to throw those links in there again. I need your support, so please be nice, be so kind, and support the program. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. And for the podcasters, it's spelled Patreon. Patreon. It's Patreon. Patreon. Okay. If you want to support us via PayPal, please, my dear brothers and sisters, go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. If you want to support us via Facebook, go to politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. If you want to buy at our store, which supports us, it is politicsdoneright.com/store. By the way, before I forget, I'm done with the book. I'm editing the book. The book, I had to put the altruistic book aside for a while. I wanted to finish this book because I think it was more apropos for the times that we're in, given that we have to talk to people like Michael Cisak and others. So that book, I started entering it into Amazon's network and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing the final edit check on the book this week. to before I go ahead and do the second upload, etc., etc., etc. So I think you're going to like this book. Those of you that are subscribers via Patreon, of course, will be able to read it online. But still, it'll be nice for you to get a hard copy, get a Amazon copy, all that good stuff. So that will be coming out. I hope to release it latest next week, but I would love to do it in a newsletter on Sunday. I'm hoping. You never know, but we'll see. Anyhow, folks, thank you so kindly for being here. I know you have other places you have the options to go to, but you're here with Politics Done Right. For that, I am so touched. I am so appreciative. I am so thankful. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this program. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.